Hi everyone and welcome to RustyPics2021. My name's Scott Wade and I'm the branch president for the Victorian branch of the ACA, and I'm here today joined by Candice Blackney. Hi Candice. And Peter Dove.
Greetings one and all.
Yes, both are members of the Victorian branch committee of the ACA. I'd like to start today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we gather. We're all spread around today, but we're all on the lands of the traditional owners, and pay respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community elders, past and present, who resided in these areas and have been an integral part of the history of these regions. We also pay our respects to any Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander people present or watching the video today. I also want to mention that a lot of us are stuck at home or in isolation due to obviously the issues with COVID at the moment. And I'd like to, I suppose, say that we're thinking of you, and we hope that we can all get out of this this problem soon and start actually having events where we actually can see each other face to face. We're really looking forward to doing that. Another thing I'd like to mention is we've got some upcoming ACA Victorian branch events, in particular two for the next month for October, the Brian Cherry Forum. So there's two parts to that. There's the 3-minute thesis, which is on Wednesday the 6th of October. Hopefully you've signed up for that already. And there is also the second part, which is the final of the Brian Cherry Forum, which will be held on the 20th of October. So if you haven't signed up for that, get onto the ACA website and sign up for that. I would also like to mention that the Victorian branch is sponsored by a number of companies, and we're very fortunate to receive that sponsorship. And those companies, as part of their sponsorship, get to do a featured event. And we're very fortunate today to be joined by Kyle Fortune from Denso, and Denso are the special branch sponsors for this particular event. So thank you, Kyle. I think it's your opportunity to give a bit of a spruik for Denso.
Very good. So thanks to the ACA for the opportunity to speak at this branch event. It's certainly been a challenging 12 to 18 months in the industry, and everyone at Denso wishes all the association members and non-members the best on their path out of COVID. Denso has been a long-standing sponsor of the ACA and remains actively involved today through various committees. We are proud to support annual scholarships through the ACA Foundation, as well as the ACA Gala Dinner each year. I thought I would begin by providing a brief company overview. Denso Australia is one of 7 global subsidiaries with other offices in North America, South Africa, Canada, New Zealand, and the UK, where our parent company, Win & Coles Denso, reside. Win & Coles were established some 138 years ago in 1883. Denso recently celebrated 50 years service to the Australian industry in 2018, and we are proud of our company's tenure and excited about the future as we continue to design, manufacture, and supply products worldwide in line with the recognised accredited quality and environmental management standards. Head office moved to a new purposely built facility in Campbellfield, Victoria in 2018, which will support our growth and development in the Australian, New Zealand, and Pacific Island region for years to come. Quite simply, our aim is to provide bespoke, off-the-shelf, cost-effective, long-term solutions that provide enduring protection against corrosion and chemical attack. Our brand pillars are centered around teamwork, reliability, quality, integrity, innovation, and arguably the most important of them all, customer service. Denso have 8 core product ranges that have been engineered to service the oil and gas, energy, marine, water, and civil industry. Recently this year, our product portfolio grew with the acquisition of the ViscoTac business, which aligns with our company's focus on investing in and providing the highest quality corrosion prevention solutions to our customers. The patent ViscoTac product range is used for corrosion prevention and sealing applications on vital infrastructure across a broad range of sectors. ViscoTac complements our existing range of coatings, which are already well established in our market. We have representation in all states and territories in Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands. So if you do have any queries or interests in the solutions we are able to offer you to protect your assets long term, please do not hesitate to reach out to a local Denso representative. We look forward to the next face-to-face event, and until then, I hope everyone stays safe and healthy.
So moving on to some housekeeping. So obviously you're watching this event, and what you would know is that there is several of the events that we run, webinars, those sorts of things are actually recorded for ACA members. And of course, as you would know, if you're an ACA member, it's a great organisation in terms of networking and events that we run. And you can see on the slide there, there's some information about joining the ACA if you're interested or you haven't joined already, or get other people to join. So moving on to today. Now we've got a bunch of photos. Now, what's the point of today? It's about trying to, we all as corrosion enthusiasts often walk around and actually see examples of corrosion in the environment or for our work, and we all love to take photos of corrosion or rust. And I'm sure I always see Peter's showing me photos of rust all the time, and Candice as well. So the point of this competition is to actually share some of those photos and have a bit of a discussion about the different types of corrosion that we actually see out there. So we have 4 categories for the event today. There's the concrete category, marine category, the other category. Lots of photos submitted in the other category, and also the pipeline category. And what we're going to do today is actually go through each of the photos that have been submitted. We had 38 photos submitted, and have a brief discussion of those. And at the end, we'll have a drum roll and actually a presentation of the actual winners. Okay, so we're starting off with the concrete section, and this is a photo of some spalling that's occurred. It was taken by Mike Rutherford.
Yeah, it's the
please,
sort of thing
Peter,
we see everywhere.
Yes. And obviously this is the expansion of the corrosion product that actually causes the spalling to occur. Moving on to the second photo, some great colours in there in terms of some corrosion that's occurred under concrete and obviously caused some spalling off.
This one's very artistic as well as exemplary of concrete corrosion. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, look, I like it too. It's in some ways it's nice that there's the different levels of focus in there, but also the colours I reckon are great too. So it's, yep, great photo. And the third photo here is an example of, again, concrete rebar, which is expanded. Sorry, Candice?
Oh yeah, like the square, very definite rebar. Is the rebar under the square, or you think that's falling out? It's under, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's underneath, yeah. So, and I should just say that there's 2 photos here. I've just rotated one around just in terms of changing orientation, just so we can zoom in. One of the problems with a lot of these photos is actually sometimes you need to have the higher resolution version to actually see some of the content and the beautiful colours, for example. So hopefully you can see those. So there was only 3. Sorry,
there's
Peter?
There's nothing like the russet colours of rust.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to think about, is it brown or is it what colour? It's a rust colour, right?
I learned this recently, okay? That orange or brown is actually just dark orange.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
Leave
so
that
for
everyone to go and look up and yeah.
All right, so they were the 3 photos from the concrete category. We only had 3 photos submitted. Now we're moving on to the marine category. This a photo was submitted by a long-term ACA member, Ian McLeod, and it's the Western Australian coat of arms. I'm just trying to work out what material that might be. Candice or Peter, have you got any idea?
Could be cast aluminium.
Oh yeah, probably Peter's right. Yeah, because it's got a white corrosion product, doesn't it?
And you know why they selected kangaroos on the coat of arms?
Why?
Because they don't walk backwards.
Oh, there you go. You're learning more than just about corrosion.
Also, it's delicious meat.
I'm also curious about what this might be attached to, whether there's any galvanic. Do we think that might be a metal structure that's actually attached to as well? Not too sure about that. Okay, moving on. Another example from Mike Rutherford, who submitted a few photos. This time it's another light rail. I noticed that Mike had submitted a few photos of light rail examples, and obviously this is a mounting bracket that's corroding.
Nothing like a little bit of laminar corrosion to start your day off.
Yeah, and we'll see a few more examples of that in some subsequent photos as well. An interesting example here from Hamid Awais Javed of some sheet piling that's actually, I know where this has occurred, and it's detached from the concrete jetty that it was actually attached to as part of the corrosion process, and some lovely colours in there, and the green, which is the algae. Yeah, some lovely colours in there.
Is that down the Queenscliff?
It certainly is.
I've got pictures of it from the other side.
So I assume that's over from the Queenscliff Boat Club on the other side. Is that right?
Yep.
Yep. All right.
It's been actually fixed now.
Yes, it has. It's quite nice down there. They've done quite a good job of fixing up that whole area. And Peter, I don't know, what is this photo that we're seeing? It's got your name against it.
It's a 65mm cable stay rod, and you see those cracks there. When you break away all the rust, those cracks actually carry through into the metal. So as part of the condition assessment, we had to get NDT to make sure that there's still enough structural capacity in the cable stay. So it's interesting.
Are you able to say what it was actually holding up?
No.
Something significant, obviously.
Yeah, look, this is the problem sometimes doing some of this sort of work is you can sort of show a photo, but you can't say what it was actually of. So it's okay. So moving on, the next photo here is, again, some lovely colours in here, a photo from Peter Mart. This is a boat, obviously, in a marine structure, and some of the nice contrast of colours of the, is the orange, Candice, I should say, and the blue paint on that structure. Here's an example of some screw piles in Riverley Bay. Does anyone know where Riverley Bay is, Candice or Peter? Do you know
Nope.
where that actually is? It's obviously a structure that's been in there for some time. I was trying to work out roughly what the date of this might have been, but again, all of this stuff that's subject to marine environments obviously will corrode pretty quickly.
Yeah, I've seen those types of screw piles. They're cast or wrought iron or something like that, and are on a jetty in Kahuna in South Australia.
I was going to say, and is it a bit like that bolt before? Is it a laminar type corrosion that occurs?
Yeah, they've got a laminar corrosion. Yeah, they've got a laminar corrosion on them.
Yep.
But, the corrosion rate on the wrought iron is slower than mild steel.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I think we've all seen examples of these sort of rusty pillars. Again, another long-term ACA member, Rob Francis, and lifetime member. Is that right, Peter? I think Rob's a lifetime member of the ACA, sent this one in. Obviously, I assume that's down at...
And you've got the stainless steel bolts down there to accelerate the corrosion on the base plate.
I didn't notice that, but that's well spotted, yes.
They've got that the correct way around, at least, small cathode, large anode.
That's right. An interesting scanning electron microscope here by Rob Melchers and Peter Richardson, and I was interested to read the description of this. The title's New York Harbour inside a ship, and I think what Robert's saying here is that it looks like the edge looks like all the jetties from New York Harbour. From above, so it's like a view from above. So it's and it's once you hear that, it's sometimes once you hear something you can't get it out of your brain, and that's what I'm seeing now all the time with this. So
that's amazing.
Yep. So you'd expect to see the Queen Elizabeth tied up there somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. here's another example of, I assume it's galvanized sort of railing. Would you say that's galvanized railing?
Yeah, it looks like gal tube, and they've got galvanized or hot dip galvanized stanchions. Then they've welded them and they've blown a bit of an Elka type primer or something over the top, which has no corrosion protection. Where the welds are.
And so that gives
first
you
place to let go.
You keep going, Peter.
You see a lot of it around the jetties, particularly around Port Phillip Bay.
Yeah.
Down at Brighton, it's classic. You know, they replace the handrails every 4 or 5 years.
Keep someone in business.
That must be the weakest link reference in that photo.
Yes. This is actually one of my photos. Lovely place in the southwest of France, La Rochelle. This is an entrance to a harbour, and again a bollard that's corroding at the entrance to the harbour there. Another rusty mooring, this one by Wayne Neal, who's the Vic Branch Vice President at the moment. Again, showing obviously a bit of degradation. I'm wondering what that is in the. Do we think that's dissimilar metal in the middle? I'm not too sure, but
that might be aluminium as well. Would you say, Peter?
Yeah, either aluminium or stainless.
Yep.
You really had to be there.
Yeah. All right, and here again, so Peter, there's another example of this sort of interlaminar type corrosion that's occurring.
Yeah, exfoliation on the front of a nut.
Yep. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, sometimes you find it and it looks like a rose petal.
Yes, yeah. Very beautiful, yeah. It's almost
Great
like
photo. Candice, maybe you can talk about this one.
Yeah, so I called this "Oh My God" because it's the worst corrosion I've ever seen. It was on White Island a couple of years before it erupted and when you're still allowed on. So this is obviously some metal cogs, but it looks exactly like the wood because it's so corroded. And also in the background, you can see some concrete corrosion as well, like the aggregates just completely come to the surface. So the corrosion here is particularly bad because this, the White Island has a lot of sulfur gases. So sulfur dioxide makes high sulfuric acid, and it just completely corrodes everything inside.
Wow. I think there's another example later on for another photo. Sorry, Peter.
And they're on my holiday pics from about 15 years ago when we went to White Island.
Well, I'm glad you managed to get there before it, before it blew up.
And make it back as well, importantly.
Yes, yeah. And here's a photo submitted by Chris Sweetenham, and it's entitled "Everything Wrong with the Commercial Building Sector in One Photo." And I'm sure all the people who work on these projects, I can see, what are they, gal nuts and bolts?
And they didn't grind the edges when they painted a bit of steel.
Yeah. So in terms of there's paint application issues there. I'm sure there's again some dissimilar metals going on.
Missed putting a whole nut in.
Either that or it's broken off.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, let's just hope that's not holding your building up. But all right, another lovely artistic photo. This time it's of it's entitled "Erratic Movement of Vivid Mud Cracks on a Wastewater Digester." Not an area that I've done any work in. I'm not sure, Peter or Candice, if you've done any wastewater type work.
Yeah, sort of probably the plasticizers all come out of it and you get that mud cracking effect.
Yeah.
I've also seen it on a top coat on a bridge in New Zealand, which is about 80, 90 years old.
Yeah. Again, beautiful colours on there. Ian Clark submitted this photo. Not all corrosion is on oil rigs. It's looking like it's about to fall off that top bracket there.
No good. Photo's great.
Usually rust looks worse than what it is.
Yes, that's true, and that's discussed in a few more photos a little bit later. And this is something that I've seen as well, submitted by Igor Chavez, Jeffrey, and Robert Melchers. This is an SEM image of some corrosion removal product. I suppose it's interacting with the surface of some, I think it's carbon steel, and producing those lovely structures on the surface. Yeah, done quite a bit of SEM type work, and yeah, you see some beautiful some images like this.
Yeah, not available to the naked eye.
No, obviously that's very high resolution. This photo was taken in Venice, and sort of thing you actually see quite commonly. So this is actually the figurehead of a what are they, the things that they row around?
Gondolas.
Yeah, it's a gondola. So it's a figurehead for a gondola.
And all the Monty Python fans will be saying, "Oh no, not more gondolas."
and this kind of thing, this effect is quite common on a lot of structures where people have actually touched or polished a particular area. Maybe, I don't know, Candice or Peter, you talk about maybe what's happening here. Got any ideas?
You develop a patina on, brass products, copper products, and so forth, where you get that green effect, and you see it a lot on monuments and so forth. Exactly,
but also what you see is there's certain monuments where people are touching it or rubbing it for good luck, and you get a similar sort of effect because they're actually removing the patina, which is protective. So that's why there's the difference in colours there.
I know sometimes as well the patina is very desirable, like engineers or architects will install this hoping that it turns that green colour. Like I know the Flinders Street Dome, the patina on that is heritage listed.
Yeah. Well, you can actually apply particular things to it to actually form the patina more rapidly as well. Yeah. So and create
like phosphoric and oleic acid and things.
Exactly. So you can put different products on there to get different coloured type patinas. But I mean, you think of something like the roof of Flinders Street Station. If that was actually polished, those reflections would be pretty bright.
Yeah.
Moving on, a photo of a desliming cyclonic pump mainframe and a bit of corrosion that's going on at the bottom there. I assume this has been removed for a bit of remediation.
It just needs a touch of tender loving care.
Yeah. And again, as I think Peter was saying before, sometimes it looks a little bit worse than what it actually is. It's a nice artistic photo by Les Bolton, and yeah, I believe this was actually, there's special coatings applied to this. It's a sculpture in a marine environment, and there was special coatings applied to it to create a protective patina like what we saw before in one of the previous photos.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Les has done a lot of work with monuments.
And this another photo by Mohammed Awais Javed, who's submitted a couple of photos. Again, it looks like there's some corrosion that might have been painted over quite regularly. Do you sort of see that sort of stuff quite regularly, Peter?
Oh, no, never. Who wouldn't do proper surface preparation before they painted something?
Yeah, exactly. Surprise, surprise when the paint flakes off later on.
It looks good to you till the bill comes.
Another photo from you, Peter?
Yeah, that's looking from the outside inside an old elevated water storage tank. You can see the trees starting to grow in the inside there. And it's interesting.
I assume this is not holding too much water anymore.
No, well, it's a good thing it doesn't, because at least the water fills up about 20 millimetres or maybe 10 millimetres, and it all pours out, so there's no weight in the tower.
Oh, good stuff.
That's good.
And that's corrosion from the inside, not the outside.
Oof, okay.
Quality issues with that one.
This is an old train wheel submitted by Peter Mart. I forget exactly where it was. It mentions it on the York Peninsula, a place. That's right. So it was a rail wagon that was used for hauling gypsum, and obviously that's that environment is quite corrosive to the. I assume it's would it be carbon steel, or maybe it's would it be wrought?
Probably cast.
Cast, yeah, okay.
Not sure how they make train wheels.
Another two train photos in a row. This one's by Peter Trathen. Obviously, there's a little bit of degradation that's actually going on there on an edge.
Cool.
Yeah. Another one from White Island. I'm not sure, Candice or Peter, did you see this when you visited?
It was an old boiler.
Yep. And I assume that so is that a copper or something on the inside, those copper rods for the heat transfer? Or would it...
Yeah, they've developed a nice patina, haven't they?
Yeah. It's a little bit more protective.
Pretty well compared to the rest of it, actually. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's 3 of us that have been to White Island.
Yeah, I guess it's like a corrosionist stream there.
Here's another example. I think you were talking before about, Peter, how sometimes things look a lot worse than what they actually are. Obviously, that looks like it's in pretty bad shape. But the photographer there actually in their description for the photo said it was actually hydroblasted, and actually underneath it was actually reasonably good on the inside. It was still reasonably structurally okay. So sometimes, yeah, surprisingly.
Wow, that's unbelievable. I'll have to keep that in mind for the pen stocks I come across, because that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
look at the bright side. It keeps us in business, because uneducated engineers look at it and say, "Oh, we'll have to replace it." So then they go to the materials team and ask out how to do it.
Yeah, guilty of that, obviously.
Another photo it's sort of close to my heart in terms of pitting under a tubicle. So I'm assuming this might be some form of microbial corrosion. It's quite common to see. So a tubicle or something, a biological product which will form on the surface, and then once you clean it, you get this nice, bright, shiny steel underneath. It's quite common with microbial corrosion. I was interested to note when I read the description of this photo, it was actually in a water tank, but it was I think it was a drinking water tank or something like that. So it wasn't actually, I'm used to seeing a lot of this in marine environments, but yeah, this was in a water storage tank.
I think they'd called tuberculoids.
Yes. I think we've all seen this quite commonly, but not at this sort of resolution. This is a high resolution image of core 10 steel.
Weathering steel.
That's right. So this is a supposed weathering steel, which basically causes red concrete underneath it, doesn't it? Isn't that what it's designed for?
It works well in mild environments.
Exactly, yeah.
You
so
just want to keep it away from really close proximity to water where you get condensation or chloride environments.
Yeah, so this is the protective layer on the outside that you can see there on the left-hand side that's actually forming on the surface, and you see it's tightly compact, adhering to the surface. So again, nice photo. Another photo from myself. This was when I was over in the US a couple of years ago. Just driving through, saw this old tractor sitting in a field. Obviously, it's not doing too much anymore, but
could you get it started?
It's not ploughing too many fields these days. Another mode of transport. This is, geez, I'm looking at those tyres there. That car hasn't been anywhere for a little bit of time.
Still on the road though.
Yeah, I told Dad not to leave the car out the front.
Yeah, so that's actually in Melbourne. Yeah. Another example, I think this was again another photo taken in New Zealand, or at least in a sulfur-rich environment, and looking at a few different materials there and how well they're surviving or not surviving. I think they were stainless steel sort of spacers or washers in there. I think they've survived okay, but obviously the bolts on the outside, not so much.
Like I said, you see it on jetties everywhere.
It's an offshore pipeline. Again, geez, that looks pretty severe to me. I don't know if I'd be too happy if there was anything important going through that one.
Yeah, and you assume that's pressurized as well, so that can't be good.
Yeah. Another pipeline. This is another photo from Mike Rutherford, who submitted some photos. Looking at it, looks obviously there's a bit of paint breakdown on the surface there. The lovely colours coming through.
Yeah, and it's happening around where the welds have been fixed.
Yep. And why would it happen there in particular, Peter?
Well, if it's a field weld, then the surface preparation is not always as good as the surface preparation on the line pipe that's coated in a plant.
Yeah.
What kind of coating is that, Peter? Do you know?
More than likely an epoxy. It looks pretty chalky.
Okay.
And it does tend to crack like that when you get corrosion expansion underneath.
And I'm assuming in mangroves, yeah, it might be pretty, I suppose, potentially humid, wet environment too. Yeah.
And mangroves are usually in a marine environment.
Yeah. Another photo from another.
Could be the crocodile swimming past.
Another photo from another branch committee member from the Victorian branch is from Richard Brorib, and this is why he didn't have hot water at home for a while. Some of his boiler pipes were getting actually clogged up. And the final photo that we actually have for the competition, and it's funny, I was saying before, we've walked past the same sort of things, and I think I've taken a photo of this myself too. This is down at Altona near the Science Works in Victoria, and that's where the pipes cross under the road down there. So that's it for the photos today.
And you can't see the corrosion under the insulation.
That's right. So, and I should mention that the lucky winners from each of the category today will win a mounted canvas print of their photo, and so we'll be in touch soon about getting that sent out to them. So, without further ado, Candice, drum roll. I'm going to get you to mention the winners for the first two categories that we've got, which are.
Right, here we go. So for the other category, which had the most entrants, so massive congratulations to Hoda Adelkar for the erratic movement of vivid mud cracks on wastewater digester. So congratulations, Hoda. You'll be getting your canvas sent out to you. And then the second winner for the marine category was Mohammed Always Javed with Rusty Steel Piling, a pervasive threat. So congratulations to Mohammed too. And yeah, we got some honourable mentions as well. So there we go. Congratulations. What do we think of these winners, Scott and Peter? Well deserved.
Look, yeah, I voted for both of those two myself, actually. So yeah, lovely photos.
Rust in action.
Very artistic, but also good examples of the technical side.
And for the second lots of categories, Peter, if you can announce the winners.
Well, in the pipeline category, Daniel Lillis won, with his corroded offshore pipe. And in the concrete category, Sanjay Kudare with the weakening of a strengthener.
Congratulations. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. And thanks for everyone who's submitted their photos. This is the first time we've had this event. I think it's, I must admit, I've really enjoyed looking through all the photos and even having a bit of a chat with Peter and Candice today about the different photos. So thanks very much. Thank you very much, Peter, for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you very much, Candice.
Also, very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks very much, everyone, and we hope to see you at some more ACA events coming up soon.